and you're watching the special edition of India Upfront, coming to you live from Mumbai. I'm Padmaja Joshi, and we are speaking at a time where the third phase of polling has concluded, and it came at a time where perhaps it is only the beginning of the most fractious leg of the campaign yet. 4 more phases are left. A lot of people have spoken of how this may be driven by worries of a low voter turnout in the first 2 phases. 93 seats voted in the third phase. But the Prime Minister today took the entire campaign of the BJP up a notch. When we are talking about a highly charged, polarizing campaign, it started with the mention of Muslim quota earlier, of how the Congress manifesto was called by the BJP a manifesto that had a stamp of Muslim League. Now the Prime Minister has taken it a step further, and he spoke of Muslim quota, he spoke of Pakistan, and he also spoke about how there is a possibility that the Ram Mandir, if the Congress is voted back to power, would be shut down. He pitched it as a fight between vote jihad and Ram Raj. Before we go any further, first listen in to what it is that he said today.
आपको ये तय करना है कि भारत में वोट जिहाद चलेगा या राम राज्य चलेगा। पाकिस्तान में आतंकी भारत के खिलाफ जिहाद की धमकी दे रहे हैं, और यहां के कांग्रेस के लोगों ने भी घोषणा कर दी है मोदी के खिलाफ वोट जिहाद करो। यानी मोदी के खिलाफ एक खास धर्म के लोगों को एकजुट होकर वोट करने को कहा जा रहा है। सोचिए, कांग्रेस किस स्तर पर उतर आई है। आप मुझे बताइए, क्या वोट जिहाद आपको मंजूर है? क्या लोकतंत्र में ये बात चल सकती है? क्या भारत का संविधान ऐसी जिहाद के लिए अनुमति देता है?
So what is the BJP's line of attack right now? First, like I mentioned, a comment by a former Congress leader saying that Rahul Gandhi had suggested that a committee be formed that can overturn the Ram Mandir verdict, that the Ram Mandir itself be shut down, was addressed by the Prime Minister in multiple rallies. He said, I need 400 seats so that this never happens. Second, he spoke of how across the border an enemy state like Pakistan wants the Modi government to be gone because they cannot tolerate a strong government. They want the Congress at the head of a weak government to be reinstalled, and that the Congress leaders are repaying this favor by tweeting in support of either Pakistan or Pakistani-backed elements. And finally, the claim by Lalu Prasad, at a time when the Congress is trying to scuttle the issue of Muslim reservation altogether, the claim by Lalu Prasad that not only do Muslims deserve reservation, but full reservation.
पाकिस्तान से इतनी मोहब्बत और हमारी सेना से इतनी नफरत, और इसलिए ही तो लोग कहते हैं कांग्रेस का हाथ मोदी को 400 सीटें चाहिए ताकि कांग्रेस अयोध्या में राम मंदिर पर बाबरी ताला ना लगा दे। साथियों, कांग्रेस तो चुप है, लेकिन आज इनके एक बड़े साथी ने इंडी गठबंधन के इरादों पर मुहर लगा दी। उन्होंने कहा, ऐसे हाथ पछाड़ के बोल रहे हैं, मुसलमानों को आरक्षण मिलना चाहिए, और सिर्फ आरक्षण नहीं मिलना चाहिए, वो कहते हैं कि पूरा का पूरा आरक्षण मुसलमानों को मिलना चाहिए। इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? यानी एससी, एसटी, ओबीसी समाज को जितना आरक्षण मिला है वो छीनकर ये लोग पूरा का पूरा आरक्षण मुसलमानों को देना चाहते हैं।
That the BJP would launch this kind of attack is understandable. The Congress, it's also understandable, is saying that all of this is only an effort to try and heighten the polarization across the country, to draw a sharp divide in society. But what is truly incomprehensible is why would leaders from INDIA or from the Congress actually play into this narrative being set by the BJP? Is this appeasement charge actually putting INDIA on the back foot and on the mat? Joining us on the debate today, we have Shazia Ilmi, spokesperson of the BJP. We also have JVC Sriram, political strategist, Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist and political analyst, Kamruzaman Chaudhary. And there are various statements over the last 24 hours that we are going to examine one by one. But Shazia Ilmi, I want to start by actually playing out for you what Sonia Gandhi said. She appealed to all the voters and said essentially you cannot answer bread and butter issues, so you want to create hate and divide in society for political gains. Listen and then respond.
देश के हर कोने में युवा, बेरोजगारी, महिलाएं, अत्याचार, दलित, आदिवासी, पिछड़े और माइनॉरिटीज भयंकर भेदभाव झेल रहे हैं। ऐसा माहौल प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी और भाजपा की नीयत की वजह से है। उनका ध्यान किसी भी कीमत पर सिर्फ सत्ता हासिल करना है, राजनीतिक लाभ के लिए नफरत को बढ़ावा दिया है।
Shazia Ilmi, when in doubt, Pakistan?
You know, Sonia Gandhi got it wrong once again. She talked about food, and she has probably no idea that more than 80 crores of Indians have been getting free rations up to 5 kilos of rice and lentils and sugar. So obviously she has no connect with the people of this country. She also does not know that 25 crore Indians have been lifted out of multidimensional poverty. So clearly she has a lot to learn about India. It has been a while though, and I don't think her learning graph is very high or something to write home about. But more importantly, I would like to say that the way Pakistan is being used and the way they're resorting to getting some kind of endorsement from Pakistan to get votes in India, I think is highly disturbing. If you look at Shashi Tharoor, of course there is a clarification now about Kashmir being Indian administered region. If you look at Channi, he actually brings back memories of Pulwama and uses the martyrdom of our army men and soldiers and connects it with Poonch and says, why is there such an intelligence failure? Why is it happening now? Therefore, you know, insinuating something very ugly and something that cannot even be said or uttered by any true Indian. And not just that, now you just look at how Rahul Gandhi has been chosen as the most fit PM, so to speak, by none less than Fawad Chaudhary. So it's all very clear that they do need Pakistan to back them. Of course, we've had earlier incidents of Manishankar Ayyar and Salman Khurshid. Pardon me? Yeah, but it just shows the mentality.
Fawad Chaudhary is a nobody. He's not even a minister. He's a nobody now.
Who has made... But he was a minister at one point of time. He was the one who sat in the assembly and conceded the fact that there were strikes. So he remains an important figure. And the very fact that somebody who doesn't like India, who indulges in anti-India activities, whose commitment is to being anti-India, has a lot to say and good things to say about Rahul Gandhi. So I think there's a lot happening here. And now you look at something terrible that just happened. TN, Tamil Nadu Assembly. What did they do? They brought in an ordinance to give a reservation to Muslims. And now knowing very well there is no constitutional provision for something like this. On the one hand, they go around saying that we want to change the constitution. On the other hand,
okay, we will talk about reservations in just a second. Let's stick to Pakistan.
Very well that there is
Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Yeah. We'll address it one at a time. One at a time. So, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, the BJP is making a stark allegation that right now you are making these statements, and these are not statements, even if we leave aside Fawad Chaudhary, nobody cares about him. Vijay Wadatiwar, who's the leader of opposition in Maharashtra, Charanjit Singh Channi, saying that, the Poonch attack was stuntbazi. And then you have Shashi Tharoor in his article in Daily Star referring to Kashmir as India administered Jammu and Kashmir. Can all of this be merely a coincidence, or it is timed to create a narrative in a certain section? Kamruzaman Chaudhary.
So that suits only one party's narrative, that of Bharatiya Janata Party. To bring in Pakistan, to bring in anybody that is inimicable to the nation's interest, they will try to somehow link it with the Congress party and spread a narrative. Look, India, Congress is anti-India, Congress is this, that and all these things. But they fail to project one simple logic out here.
He's your candidate from Jalandhar.
India is
He's
so
not in
powerful
the BJP.
as
He's
we
your
all
candidate.
think.
Who asked him to call Poonch attack stuntbazi? Who asked Charanjit Singh Channi to
even I call it.
Who asked
Even I
Vijay
call it a
Wadatiwar to say
stuntbazi.
that
Even I call the
Hemant Karkare was
Pulwama
killed by an RSS man's bullet?
Even I call.
Who asked him?
Yeah, that's what created doubts in my minds also.
Then you
That
are
means
only
there needs a
confirming what
greater
Shahzi Alvi said.
investigation, isn't it? But Padmaja, that's not the point out here. The point is, after 10 years of your rule, double engine sarkar in many states,
tomorrow any
you
Tom,
bring
Dick
in
and
Pakistan
Harry
to
will
compare it
stand
with
up
the
and say,
Congress
I have
party.
doubts about X. But why do you have those doubts? That's the question.
No,
you are actually playing into the BJP's hands when you say, I have doubts about how Hemant Karkare was killed. If you have those doubts, that in itself puts your intent into suspicion, brings your intent into suspicion.
Even, who was Ujjwal Nikam? I'm not defending anybody out here, Padmaja, nor this is the time to defend any terrorist attack in the country. But who was Ujjwal Nikam? He only stated it. He was representing the government in the court. Who was he? He raised the first doubt. Otherwise, how would I know whether this incident was at all doubtful or not? We all thought it was a terrorist attack, and Ajmal Kasam received the same treatment that he should have been receiving. No, he only said.
Where are you getting this information from?
The question does not arise out here. The broader point out here, Padmaja, if you permit me 20 seconds uninterrupted, let me finish my point. Then you can counter me, please. This is not fair. Now, when Shahzia Ilmiji and our party brings in issues like comparing it with Pakistan, they fail to understand that even after 10 years of the double engine sarkar, Uttar Pradesh population being the same that of Pakistan, why is the GDP, per capita GDP of Uttar Pradesh half that of Pakistan? Why is the multidimensional poverty of Uttar Pradesh same as that of Sub-Saharan Africa? These are the issues that need to be debated and discussed. What are we discussing out here, Padmaja? A Ram Mandir we are discussing.
They should be debated, but my question is, then what prompts your candidates to bring up the issue of Poonch, sir? What prompts Shashi Tharoor to say that we should have an investigation after all of these years into who killed Hemant Karkare? That is a question that you perhaps need to ask yourself, and that's what I want to take to Rashid Kidwai. Is this a trap that the Congress unknowingly or knowingly falls into? I want to play out for you and the viewers what the PM said. He today said, Congress ka haath, and look how the audience, the people in the crowd responded. So if such stray comments are being made, Rashid Kidwai, is it actually hitting home with the people that there is something suspicious here? We'll play that out, and then Rashid sir, I'm coming to you.
कांग्रेस के साथी दल के एक और नेता भारत को धमकी देते हैं, कहते हैं कि पाकिस्तान ने चूड़ियां नहीं पहनी हुई है। बताओ, मैं तो कांग्रेस के शाहजादे से पूछूंगा, जरा ये बताओ भैया, आपके साथी ये सब बोल रहे हैं, इनकी मंशा क्या है? ये आखिरकार अचानक एक साथ चारों तरफ से सीनियर लोगों की आवाज क्यों आने लगी है? पाकिस्तान से इतनी मोहब्बत और हमारी सेना से इतनी नफरत, और इसलिए ही तो लोग कहते हैं कांग्रेस का हाथ, कांग्रेस का हाथ, कांग्रेस का हाथ।
Rashid Kidwai, how do you explain the people's response?
Padmaja, sometimes I wonder whether, we are still in 2011, 12, 13, 14, or we are in 2024. It looks as if, going by Prime Minister's remarks and his focus of his election speeches, it looks as if, the Congress is in power or the India Alliance is in power. To say that Congress is pro-Pakistan, Congress ka haath Pakistan ke saath is most unfortunate. It is a political rhetoric, but still facts don't bear it out. There are 3 decisive wars that were fought against Pakistan and won decisively when Congress was in power, the year being 1948, year being 1965, year being 1971. You may have disagreement with Congress. I'm not holding brief for the Congress, but to say that Congress helps or Congress and Pakistan are quid pro quo is most unfortunate. In 2017 also, Padmaja, may I recall that the Prime Minister had when there was a similar remark was made, when Khurshid Ahmed Kasoori's book was being released at Manishankar Iyer's house, and several, former high commissioners to Pakistan were there. Prime Minister Modi had said that a conspiracy sought to be hashed. Later on, Arun Jaitley had, worked out a truce, and he had regretted that remark. So this is a legacy. We may have political differences, me and Shazia, for instance, but we will never accuse each other of being anti-national.
Farooq Abdullah's words are not lost to anybody. Maybe he is trying to get his constituency in action, but what does it imply for India Alliance? How do people look at it? On what side of the fence do you stand on? It's all too clear. So you can't keep whitewashing it again and again. This is no legacy. This is happening in the here and now. This happened yesterday. And this is the midst of elections. So surely there has to be some kind of a reply by the Congress party.
Who is Farooq Abdullah? And Farooq Abdullah was a minister in NDA under Atal Bihari Vajpayee. For many years, he represents, the National Conference. The number of political workers National Conference has lost since 1948 till date in Kashmir fighting against militancy comes second to none. This is not in defense of Farooq Abdullah. The India Alliance is for electoral allowance. It is not a kind of thing, merger of Congress and National Conference.
Okay, Rashid Kidwai, Shazia Almi says it is sophistry. When all of these people are playing to a script, to simply ignore it would be shame and a sham. Rashid Kidwai.
Padmaja, I don't get it. May I recall, V.N. Gadgil's argument about that the allegation against Congress for appeasement. If all Muslims are to vote for the Congress, it would be 18%. Would a political party having a national imprint would try to just quote Muslims so that it loses, control over or a reach towards 82% of votes? It makes no political sense. There is a blatant attempt to otherize Muslims. Muslims are very much part and parcel of integral part of India as voters, as residents, as citizens.
See, the point is, Mr. Narendra Modi yesterday in your interview in Times Now has clearly mentioned about the care that he has and the concern he has for Muslims. He just openly said. So what we are talking about here is a Muslim appeasement policies which has been followed by Congress time and again. Now, wasn't it Mr. Manmohan Singh who said first access to minority, particularly Muslims? These were the exact, he might have said OBC, SC, ST and all, that's a different story altogether. Yes, so what happens whenever you practice Muslim appeasement politics, treat them as a vote bank, and then you also cast aspirations as far as Pakistan is concerned. Both are hand in hand. How can you separate it? That's the point which I'm trying to say. See, the entire narrative was not said by Padmaja, was not said by Shri Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi was running a different campaign altogether. Running, against talking about Ram Mandir. Even today, Samajwadi Party spokesperson has spoken bad about Ram Mandir. Now, so what would they say? No, he's from Samajwadi Party. He's not our party. No, you are a part of alliance. When there was an issue about Prajal Ravanna, Amit Shah, Narendra Modi clearly said, we are against this. Because you are also responsible for your alliance partners' actions, alliance partners' words, and alliance partners' deeds. You just can't run away from the fact that they are a different party and we are a different party.
Is this, a lot of people argue that elections come and go, but when this kind of fracture is created in society, that is going to persist. This constant invocation of Pakistan, for example.
I totally disagree with Rashid Bhai here, because Muslims have been otherized, alienated and ghettoized by these so-called secular parties, which have only indulged in appeasement. If you look at real figures, and Rashid Bhai was talking about aspirations. For the first time, if you look at the dispensation of justice, social justice, you will realize that in all the central welfare scheme, despite the fact that Muslims occupy 14% of the population, they are beneficiaries to the extent of 28 to 40% in terms of Skill India, in terms of Jan Dhan Yojana, in terms of Awaaz Yojana. So they are absolutely a very much part, and for the first time they're being mainstreamed. If anybody has done anything for anybody, and particularly Muslims, it is Narendra Modi. But he doesn't use them, and the BJP doesn't use them as cannon fodder and as vote banks. And I think that is, and to assume, last point, to assume that Muslims will be happy if you want to invoke Pakistan is a disservice to Muslims.
Why is BJP constantly trying to look as if, some welfare scheme towards Muslim is something, dirty, something that should not be done, something that is out of place, something that's not part of electoral process. When Narendra Modi government is doing welfareism, as Shazia has articulated, is it because they are Muslims or they are economically or socially backward? If they are socially, economically backward, then of course it's a very welcoming gesture, and therefore the reservation policy that is there at the post-Mandal era in Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh, in Bihar, in Gujarat, in several states is in line with Narendra Modi's policy of uplifting Pasmanda Muslims. Then why rake up this thing that the Congress was doing something wrong in Karnataka? Padmaja, just for your information, the reservations for Muslims on the grounds of their poor economic position has been in place in Karnataka from 1977. They were there till the very end of Bombay government, last Bombay government. So it was nothing bad. And to say this Aligarh Muslim University and Jamia, and they are central universities, they are funded by the Narendra Modi government for past 10 years. The word secularism and socialism is an integral part of preamble of constitution. Why has BJP government not removed it? If they feel so offended by it, why are they continuing with it?
Okay, JVC.
See, I would like to ask only one question. They were the ones who said BJP will change the constitution. Narendra Modi, if he comes to power, for the third time with 400, he will change the constitution. I am asking a very simple question to Rashid Bhai. Rashid Bhai, was the word secular and social part of Ambedkar drafted constitution? It was not. It was included by Indira Gandhi. As a result of which, what Mr. Narendra Modi has time and again said is, I am not here to change the constitution, but it is the Congress party which has time and again changed the constitution. It is time and again, they are the ones who have changed the constitution. They are the ones who have changed the constitution, and that's what he said. And that's why, and the religious reservation also was Ambedkar get this? Was Ambedkar ready for that? No.
If inclusion of secular and socialism was so bad, what is preventing Narendra Modi government from removing it? They removed 370. They have brought many constitutional amendments for the good of the country or whatever. If this is so important, why is it's not been done? Why is Aligarh Muslim University getting central funds for not giving reservations to?
Are you agreeing with me that? Are you agreeing with me that
it is not
the Congress government and Indira Gandhi changed the constitution? Do you agree with me that the Congress party under Indira Gandhi changed the constitution?
I don't agree with it.
How do you say that? How do you say
that?
Did Ambedkar's constitution include secular and socialism in the constitution? They did not include. So you should agree that Indira Gandhi changed the constitution.
It's important to bring up the issue of the word secular, because today, in a very specific way, when Mr. Modi spoke about it, he said, I do not want, in the name of fake secularism, to try and whitewash things that have happened. In our interview to Times Group, he said a very important thing specifically about the Muslim community. I want to play out that statement because it was for the first time that he spoke, and he said, why is there this impression that one community can prop up or bring down a government that is leading to your remaining backward? Listen to this.
मैं मुस्लिम समाज को कह रहा हूँ, उनके पढ़े लिखे लोगों को कहता हूँ कि आत्ममंथन करिए, सोचिए, देश इतना आगे बढ़ रहा है, अगर कमी आपके समाज में महसूस होती है तो क्या कारण है? सरकार की व्यवस्थाओं का बेनिफिट कांग्रेस के जमाने में आपको क्यों नहीं मिला? क्या कांग्रेस के कालखंड में आप इस दुर्दशा के शिकार हुए हो? क्या आत्ममंथन कीजिए और एक बार तय कीजिए, ये आपके मन में जो है कि सत्ता पे हम बिठाएंगे, हम उतारेंगे, उसमें आप अपने बच्चों का भविष्य खराब कर रहे हो।
Kamruzaman Chaudhary, he is making an outreach. He is saying, I don't want to be playing to the traditional definition of secularism. My definition is, let's have everyone equal. I am genuine while reaching out to you. He addressed Muslims in particular.
Padmaja, by relegating the 20% population of India into a second-class citizen, is that he means? I've never seen a double-faced prime minister whom I'm ashamed to call a prime minister also of me. He says हिंदू औरतों का मंगलसूत्र छीनकर मुसलमानों को दे दिया जाएगा, ये बच्चा ज्यादा पैदा करते हैं, हिंदुओं का संपत्ति को लेकर मुसलमानों को बांट देंगे. This is the dog.
He is genuinely saying, I have a message I want to give to Muslims.
Now you interrupt me within 5 seconds.
You are going back to the older rhetoric. I am asking you specifically about what he is saying today.
You interrupt me in 5 seconds. Don't even let me finish my point. No, today and tomorrow, that is
because
the problem.
Don't address the issue at hand. You keep going back to a very, very tired script.
With one statement. No. Do you understand what the Justice Sachar Committee recommendation was, or what the Jagannath Mishra Committee recommendation was? Justice Jagannath Mishra said 15% reservation for the minorities, among which 10% reservation should be given to the Muslims. Did Congress government bring in the reservation for the Muslims? If a Dhobi Hindu gets a scheduled caste status, a Dhobi Muslim gets an OBC status, उसमें भी आपको problem है. आपने पसमंदा इलेक्शन से पहले पसमंदा मुसलमान का कैटेगरी बना दिया, एक इमेजिनरी कैटेगरी. Now what happened to the pasmanda category? You have branded the entire 25 crore Muslim of the country as Gujarati.
Okay,
this is the language. And you want me to believe the Prime Minister sitting in front of you and speaking.
So just now you said it's an imaginary category. Just now, my friend, you walked into your own trap again. Just now you mentioned that Prime Minister talked about pasmanda. You know there is a difference between Ashrafs and Ajlafs and Arzals. You know that. You know how many political families come from Arzals or Ajlafs, but you will not say. On the one hand, you are saying that there's pasmanda, and you're saying they're economically backward and socially backward, but at the same time you're saying the whole idea of what Prime Minister said about pasmanda is not correct. You are going against your own, you're contradicting yourself. And tell me one thing, you also know as a Muslim, as do I, and as do Rashid Bhai here, that there is no concept of caste system in Islam. So you practice whatever you think to be fit, and it is not based on,
who know how to
I'm talking about, you said it's an imaginary, category. I heard you say it's an imaginary category.
Okay, so let's take your logic. If indeed pasmandas are backward, then why not give them reservation? Why demonize it as Muslim reservation, JVC? If indeed pasmandas are backward, as is acknowledged by the BJP, why not give them reservation?
See, I think in Gujarat also there is a reservation. But the point here is that what he's talking about is you cannot take away from the SC, ST, OBC and give it to Muslims, because that's what has happened. Say 27% reservation was there. In that 27% reservation, you included them also. That's where the point is. The point which we are talking about is Mr. Modi has clearly reached out. Let me tell you one thing, Padmaja. With 50% demography of Muslims in Shambal, with 48% demography in Malda, Uttar, and I can give you constituencies one after another, with 54% in Rampur, BJP could not have won any of these seats unless otherwise Muslims have also voted for Narendra Modi ji and BJP. Unfortunately, it is the vote bank politics. These people do not want this to happen. They do not want Muslims to come and learn the truth and start supporting for Modi ji. I'll just complete one thing. A senior journalist once mentioned that when he reported in a newspaper that when Gujarat CM Modi was there, some welfare schemes had not gone to Muslims. Immediately, Mr. Narendra Modi acted and called this journalist and told them, go and check. Ask your reporters to go and check. I might be a practicing Hindu, I might be an Hindutva propagator, but when it comes to the question of welfare, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas. That's what Narendra Modi is all about. He doesn't discriminate. Congress discriminates.
Rashid Kirdai.
So, Padmaja, I welcome Prime Minister's utterances. They are very soothing, they are very comforting, and they emphasize once again that we are a constitutional democracy. On a political spectrum, it takes two to tango. Democracy is about numbers. Democracy is about political participation and empowerment. I would expect, it's a complex situation. I would expect someday BJP to start, fielding Muslim candidates as BJP nominee. Shazia is an excellent choice for that matter, and many others. So therefore, once then these things would streamline. I would also request humbly my friend, Mr. My panelists, not to, kind of question Shazia Ilbi on grounds of her faith, etc., because it doesn't look nice. A fact of the matter is, we have a, very checkered history, Padmaja. We have gone through a lot of bitter experiences. If we are in 2024, we should be looking ahead, not what happened in 47, what Muslim League did, what happened in the past. So if Mr. Modi has a progressive agenda and he wants to court Muslims, the best way is to, empower them. There are a lot of irresponsible statements are made. Similarly, the way irresponsible statements are being made from the Congress side. Okay. So there should be a check on that, and particularly during election time.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. There is at least an outreach, but the traditional definition of what the rules of engagement are with the Muslim community, at least in this high-stakes battle, the BJP has made it very clear that they are holding no prisoners and they are definitely pulling no punches. This outreach, will it go anywhere? We'll keep a close watch. Thanks, gentlemen. Shazia Ilmi for joining me.